Sometimes when someone's attacking and someone else is defending, there's an actual clash of interests here, when neither side wants to compromise, and then the real hand-to-hand combat begins. The stones get twisted and mixed up. It's a real brawl on the go board, which we call a capturing race. And it looks a little something like this. This position is taken from an actual game, and I've removed all of the unnecessary stones. So this is one big capturing race between these white and these black stones. And I know what you're thinking right now. Whoa, 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 whoa. I thought this was supposed to be deeper into the fundamentals of Go, but that's way deeper than I'd ever imagined it would be. But what if I told you that if you strip this down to the basic elements, this kind of capturing race actually becomes very easy to read and very easy to understand? You don't believe me? Well, let's go back to the basics then. Now this is a very simple capturing race, and the first thing you need to do when you find yourself in a fight like this is to determine which stones are actually part of the capturing race. And in this case it's these black stones here and these white stones here. They're cut off from the rest of the board and they can't escape anywhere. And now once we know who is fighting, there are two major things to pay attention to. Number one is the amount of mutual liberties between the groups. And in this case, the amount of mutual liberties is 0. These black and white stones are standing back to back, cheek to cheek, and there's no extra space between them. And in a case like this, it all comes down to simple math. Whoever has more liberties wins the capturing race. In this case, black has 1, 2, 3, 4 liberties, and white has 1, 2, 3. So you know that black is going to be victorious. And since black has 1 extra liberty, black doesn't even have to play here at all, and still black wins. And as soon as white takes one of black's liberties, now the amount of liberties is even, 3 and 3. Now black adds a stone and reduces one of white's liberties, 3, 2. If white takes one of black's liberties, black takes one of white's, Atari, and with the next move, black can capture the white stones. That was surprisingly simple, right? And now let's see what happens if there is one mutual liberty between the stones. And guess what? In this case, nothing really changes. Whoever has more liberties wins the capturing race. So right now, black has 1, 2, 3, 4 liberties, and white has 1, 2, 3, 4. They're even, so whoever starts right now wins this. So if black plays first, black will reduce one of these liberties, and one more, and one more, and this is Atari. Black captures white first. Oh, there's one little thing you have to look out for here, and that's approach moves. What is it? Now this position looks exactly the same as before, but it's a little bit different, because now black has this point. And if you count liberties for black and white, it seems that white has 1, 2, 3 outside liberties, and black has only 2. So white wins, right? But no. Because if white wants to take this point, because of the special properties of the first line, if white plays here, black can capture this stone. So if white wants to take this point, white needs to play here first, and this is an approach move. And then with the second move, white can take the point. So this kind of point equals 2 liberties, even though it looks like 1. So in this case, it's still the same thing. White has 1, 2, 3 liberties, and black has 1, 2, 3 liberties. And if black starts here, black still wins the capturing race. And white cannot approach from here, and white cannot approach from here. White has to approach first, and Atari. Black wins the capturing race. Now what if we have more mutual liberties between them? Is it still going to be the same? Let's have a look. When we have more than one mutual liberties, those liberties in between will be a sort of airbag. They'll provide extra safety for both black and white. So in this example here, we have 3 mutual liberties, and black has 4 liberties on the outside, and white has 3. It seems that black is winning this, but well, if black or white, if anybody wants to approach, it's really hard to approach each other without reducing your own liberties first. If you remember, in the previous course we said this when we talked about Weiqi. And indeed, in this sort of situation, Weiqi is a very likely result. So even though black has more outside liberties, all of the mutual liberties are now counted for white, and they're helping white. So white has 1, 2, 3, and 3 mutual liberties as well, 6. So if black wants to capture white, black needs to have at least 6 outside liberties. Black only has 4, so it's going to be Weiqi. Let's have a look. Black takes an outside liberty. White does the same thing. And if black now tries to go for the kill, once black takes one of those liberties, you see that black cannot approach anymore. Only 2 liberties are left, and it's a Weiqi. So the first major thing to notice was the amount of mutual liberties. And the second major thing to pay attention to if you find yourself in a capturing race is the amount of eyes. And when I say the amount of eyes, we assume that neither player has 2 eyes yet, because once you have 2 eyes, it's no longer a capturing race. It's now a hunt, because 2 eyes just give you this magic wand of omnipotence and invincibility, and you can no longer die, but your opponent's stones can. So we assume that the amount of eyes should be somewhere in the range between 0 and 1. In all of the examples before, neither player had any eyes. If both players have an eye, it's going to be almost the same thing. If there are no mutual liberties, then it's a math problem. And if there are some mutual liberties between the groups, then the Weiqi is going to be the most likely result. But what if one player has an eye and the other one doesn't? Then there's a very important principle to remember here, and that is a group with an eye is always stronger than a group without eyes. You can't even imagine the amount of power and control this one eye gives you. Now let's look at this example here. In this capturing race, white doesn't have any eyes and black has 1. And this one eye transforms black into a liberty magnet, because now black attracts all of the liberties and counts them for himself. So in this case, black has 1, 2 external liberties, 1 eye, 3, and both mutual liberties are also counted for black. So black has 5 liberties here. And white only counts the outside liberties, 1, 2, 3. So black has 5 and white has 3. Black wins this capturing race hands down. But let's see what happens if white decides to attack first anyway. So white takes the outside liberties. Black does the same thing. And white tries to approach, but Atari. This is how difficult it is to approach a group that has an eye. So just like before, if your group wants to stand a chance against a group with an eye, you have to have a lot of outside liberties. At least the same amount as all of black's liberties here. So black had 5, white had to have 5 outside liberties to fight. Also notice that if one side has an eye and the other side doesn't, Weiqi is completely impossible. So one side is definitely going to be the winner. Now if we go back to the very first position I showed you, which seemed so complex at the beginning, it becomes a lot easier to handle right now once you're armed with all the principles and the rules and the knowledge. You can see that white here has an eye, and this black group doesn't have any eyes, which means that all of the mutual liberties between these groups are attracted to white, and they're counted for white. So white here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 liberties. That's a lot of liberties. And black only has these liberties on the outside. And all the rest of them are counted for white. So even if black starts filling some of white's liberties, white doesn't even have to respond here. And as soon as the number of liberties gets closer, white can simply fill these liberties on the outside and still win the capturing race. But let's play it out. Let's say we start with the outside liberties. Now there are still a lot of mutual liberties left to be filled, and white doesn't have to fill any of them. White only needs to make sure that black doesn't have any eyes here. So even if black makes a lot of moves in a row and fills these liberties, no eye, and black only has 2 liberties left, so black can't approach any longer. White has an eye, so these black stones are dead. At any point white can Atari, and capture them. Now, if we go back, once you know the principle I versus no I, and you realize that white here has an I and black doesn't, you know that white has so much more liberties than black. So with this principle, you can read this capturing race in a matter of seconds. Isn't that just beautifully simple?
By the way, you can also watch these lessons on our platform, gomagic.org. Except there, you'll watch them with interactive quizzes right within the lessons and practical exercises right after them. And if you enjoy watching these Go videos and you don't want to miss others like this one, go smash that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and this is Go Magic.